So today, to kickstart the conversations, we focus on Ablekuma North. The constituency still is without a member of parliament, and that is more than 4 months after the December 2024 polls. We'll go live in that constituency in a bit to engage constituents, especially on the challenges of living without a representative in the lawmaking house. But joining the conversation with us this morning, for starters, we have Evans Nimako. He's Director of Elections and Research with the NPP. We'll hear from the different parties to the conversation, the NPP, the NDC. We'll hear from residents as well in respect of how they feel without a representative 4 months after the elections. Mr. Nimako, a very good morning to you, sir.
Thank you for having me. Good morning to your viewers. It's been some time. I hope you are doing well.
I am doing well. There are some places where I spot you in a certain way, but I just keep quiet and smile. And I say, that's my big brother. It's good to have you join the conversation, Mr. Nimako.
Thank you very much.
So let's just address it. What are your sentiments as a party 4 months after the 2024 elections? Ablekuma North is still without a representative in the legislature. What's your take?
Well, I think that this is not fair to the good people of Ghana and also to the good people of Ablekuma North. We've not been able, for me, to have conclusion of the parliamentary election results, mainly because some stakeholders have taken the path not to respect the rules of the game. And I must add that we successfully ended the presidential elections. In the same way, until Ablekuma North is successfully concluded, you cannot speak well of our parliamentary numbers in parliament, even though it's leveled 1. It's as important as having the 275 in the House. So we need to have conclusion to Ablekuma North parliamentary elections. It's also painful that the EC by itself could not add Ablekuma North presidential results. And it's a shame. But this is where we are. If we all decide to be quiet, we will not have the full benefits of democracy. It may be expensive, but it pays for right-thinking people to speak to the issues as they should be. So we have conclusion to what we've all accepted to be the way to govern ourselves as a nation. So it's a shame.
You say it's a shame, but maybe I should ask you, now who caused them? From where you sit, how did we get here?
So if you look at the electoral rules, it is clear that at the end of the polls, the EC at various polling stations must count results, assign numbers to candidates, and at the constituency collation center, all results from the polling stations be collated, and the final results for parliamentary declared by the constituency collation officer. And I'm happy that at the collation center in Ablekuma North constituency, it wasn't only New Patriotic Party that was available. We had the police, we had the media, we had other political parties. In fact, we had election observers. So how come? And I'm saying that if right-thinking people decide not to speak to issues as they are, this is where we'll find ourselves.
If right-thinking people decide not to speak to the issues as they are, who are these right-thinking people who are not seeing the issues or putting them in the proper perspective?
Well, let me say that. Well, maybe political parties, you say they pursue certain interests. But the police has the mandate, or the Election Security Task Force has the mandate to ensure that there is peace in all voting centers, all collation centers, and to provide protection to the Electoral Commission to conduct the exercise in a peaceful manner. We all saw it in Ablekuma North when some people decided to take hostage the returning officer to make some pronouncements. We are lucky to have from the media video footages of people who decided to destroy election result sheets, what we call the pin sheet. And what has the police done 4 months after this incident?
Right.
That's what I'm saying. It's a shame and it's not the best for us.
In Ablekuma North, I mean, 3 crucial incidents. There was the collation, there was recollation, where there was violence, and I'll get to that in a bit. And then eventually, where, you know, the ballot had been stacked or stashed, and maybe that should be a lesson for us going forward, getting burnt down, whether by arsonists or whatever the situation may have been, or an act of God, we don't know. And now it has come to this point. But let me ask you, to what extent do you, the political parties, bear blame? And I'm talking of both the MPP and the NDC, because in the recollation, there were 6 attempts at doing so. It ended in chaos, especially during the 7th attempt. A group of men, supposedly affiliated to both the MPP and the NDC, stormed the place. Louver blades were, broken, among others. There was damage to the property, and that led to the halting of the process. You talk about video footage from the media and the rest. How, as political parties, or maybe since I'm speaking to you, how, as the NPP, have you addressed your end of that melee that broke out?
Thank you, my brother. I think that to start with, the burning of the electoral materials in Ablekuma North cannot be an act of God. It cannot.
That is why I said, I don't know, as I sit here. I don't know whether you know clearly.
Please don't even introduce that. It cannot. It is a deliberate attempt by some group of people to ensure that we will not have conclusion to Ablekuma North parliamentary election results.
You're a student of the law. Can you say that for a fact?
I'm saying that in the course of collation at the Constituency Collation Center, we saw some people who destroyed electoral materials. Why has the police failed to go after those people? On the part of us as a party, we've always responded positively to the EC's invitation.
Okay.
And from the ruling of the court and orders to the EC and to the police was for EC to complete collation of all the polling station results, 281 in Ablekuma North constituency, to declare the winner for the parliamentary elections. We have done the collation, and we know that our candidate, Ekwefie, obtained more votes than the NDC candidate. But you mentioned the last invitation, which was the 7th one, that some people decided to break or destroy EC's properties. I expected the police to, by now, arrested those people who were involved. Because when I got to the place, these gentlemen or guys came, jumped out of a car, and went in. And it is not supporters of the New Patriotic Party. Had gone there with our parliamentary candidates, his spouse, and 3 constituency officers.
Reports that we had suggested that both factions were represented, and you are extricating your party and saying that it was only from the other side. There was nobody from the MPP engaged in that.
We had not sent anybody. The New Patriotic Party had gone there, parliamentary candidate, her spouse, my good self, 3 constituency executives. Whilst we were waiting, we saw these guys jump from a car, enter the EC venue for the collation, and the next moment, Louver Blaze were scattering every here and there. So please, I don't want the narrative to be that it was an engagement between MPP supporters and NDC to create this unnecessary mayhem. We wouldn't do that. We know that we've won the seats. We will not do anything untoward. And why? On the 4th of January this year, the High Court gave ruling and ordered the EC and the police. And at all times, the EC has said that they are ready to complete the collation. What has been lacking is the provision of security by the police service. And it is strange. It is not only the police service. When we're going into the elections, there was this creature, National Election Security Task Force, and they engaged political parties, engaged the media,
right,
and were giving full assurance that at all times, the EC and other stakeholders will be provided the necessary security to have this beautiful exercise we've adopted for ourselves well conducted. And here we are.
I see. Let me just hold you on to that point. And you basically are saying that it was the other side that was involved. Your men, you didn't send anybody. So if anybody acted a certain way, it definitely wasn't from your end in terms of anyone assigning anybody. We'll leave it at that. I mean, I'm sure when the other end also gets in, the NDC, they'll have things to say. I don't know whether we can resolve the issue, though, if we decide to take sides and not own up to responsibility on either side, whichever side it may have been. But you made a point. You made a point about the fact that per your collation, you had won. Just a quick point, because I also remember, as far as Dome Kwabenya, was concerned, Okwe Jr., there was talk about, what information you had, and per the information you had pointing to the fact that Mike Okwe Jr. had won, it turned out that he hadn't. So how watertight is this evidence you have on Ablekuma North? Okay,
so I think that to some extent, your facts are not right.
Okay, so correct me.
In the case of Dome Kwabenya, we had gone through the exercise. In the course of the collation, the Constituency Collation Center was attacked, and we lost some pink sheets. So there were about 3 of them we didn't have.
And the NDC had those pink sheets, which later they brought to bear, if you recall.
Well,
go ahead.
So that is what the EC later told us, because when our people were attacked at the collation center, they left and they were given assurance by the police and the EC that they will call them later to complete the collation. And this did not happen. In the course of it, the EC engaged us and at the point agreed with us that there were 3 polling stations that they didn't have and that they were going to run those 3 polling stations. We agreed. We knew that was going to happen. The next moment, the EC told us that they've been able to identify those 3 pink sheets from those 3 polling stations and completed the collation and gave the results to the NDC candidates. We've not gone to court. We've not attacked anybody. And the people of Dome Kwabenya has a member of parliament. This is New Patriotic Party.
Right.
In the same way in Ablekuma North constituency, when they attacked the place, they destroyed some pink sheets. And I'm happy there are video footages of those involved. But luckily for us as New Patriotic Party, we scanned all pink sheets that were brought to us by our agents. So yes, some got destroyed, but thankfully for our candidate and her team, those scanned copies are available.
Right.
And so And the laws are clear. I mean, my brother, we have the Electronic Transaction Act 772, and it is allowed. The EC says they are ready to complete the collation. Why is that? Why this agitation from the NDC? I don't think that is fair. I don't think so. And lawyers, when they are filing their processes, attach even photocopies, and the court admit them. Where is this issue of scanned copies? We will not admit them. We need to go and rerun, and that's the position of the NDC. They know that they've lost the seat.
Have you always been in favor of using scanned copies? Have you always been in favor of that?
You see, you need to look at the situation.
And I am asking you that pointed question, and I'm sure you know why I'm asking that question. But
that's why I'm also saying that, and I'm choosing my words very carefully. I'm saying that you need to look at the situation. Why is it that the EC at the point decided to bring in the presiding officers to verify the results from their polling stations? What they signed? Why were they invited? It's all to authenticate. And I'm saying that in the case of Dome Kwabinya, the EC invited the presiding officers, and those results were accepted. And all put together, the NDC candidate was given the nod. So why wouldn't the same apply to Ablekuma North? And I'm saying that if you all be candid to ourselves and to the processes, nobody will raise an issue. If the NDC knew that they've won the seat, this will not be their posture.
Okay. Just to clarify, and I was hoping you would say something to the contrary. When I mentioned Dome Kwabinya, the point I was making was that some members of the MPP had insisted that based on the evidence they had, the NPP had won. Michael Quay Jr. had won. And that was the point I was making, that based on what evidence then, and can we, juxtapose that with this current situation? So let Sleeping Dogs lie. Let me bring in Andrews Bediako.
I made public pronouncement. I made statement to the public to the effect that the New Patriotic Party was ready to go into the rerun of those 3 polling stations. If we had it, why? my position wouldn't change.
All right.
We didn't have it. So that is why we agreed that the EC should go ahead and conduct the exercise in those 3 polling stations.
Right.
The EC then came back and said that, yes, we've been able to find it. And as it is, you don't have the numbers. We accepted it.
Okay.
And this New Patriotic Party.
Right. Please hold for me. Let me bring in Andrews Bediako, a local governance expert. Mr. Bediako, good morning.
Good morning, Benjamin.
How do you feel about this situation? It appears we are creating a new SAL, Santo Kofi, Akpafu, Likpe, and Lolobi in Ablekuma North. 4 months into this new administration, or 3+ months, if you look at this administration, they still have no legislator. How does that reach you? How does it sit with you?
Thank you very much, Benjamin. Good morning, and good morning to your viewers. I think, Benjamin, some of the cardinal principles of decentralization is representation and participation. So therefore, if people are denied that opportunity to participate in governance system in their country, or even in their locality, I would say then there is a problem. So therefore, whenever there is an opportunity for people to participate in governance system, so far as they qualified, we should give them the opportunity to do that. It is also their right. And if they are not able to participate, definitely their representation should also be recognized. So if their participation is not there and their representation is not there, then there is a problem. So in this case, I think there is a problem somewhere. How do we resolve the issue? Now, being a local governance person, I will take it from the point of view that currently, as we speak, if it happened yesterday and it was not good, we should not repeat the same thing today. MPs have their share of common fund that is being targeted at the local level for development. Now, first quarter of 2025 is gone. We are now in second quarter, meaning the MPs who were sworn in on the 7th January 25, they are supposed to receive their first quarter MP share of the common fund. So therefore, if the people of Ablekuma North do not have participation, representation, meaning they are going to be denied such amount for development purposes. And I don't think it's the best. All of us, the political parties, the Electoral Commission, both MPP, NDC, and the Electoral Commission, and the security agencies, I think our security agencies are, one way or the other, disappointing us. And I don't think it's the way to go. I remember the New Patriotic Party then wrote a letter to the Electoral Commission about how they intend assisting the Electoral Commission to have all these processes done. The Electoral Commission letter that I saw, they wrote to the IGP then for them to be given security for them to finish this collation exercise. But as it stands now, we are unable to do it. So the question is, what is happening? What has happened? And I think both parties should come together, sit down, discuss with the Electoral Commission and that of the security agency, especially the police, the new IGP, to give them the necessary security as the Electoral Commission has already requested, so that we can have this finality to the whole issue that is happening in the Ablekuma North. I don't think we are being fair to the people of Ablekuma North. As I said, if it happened yesterday and it was not good, I don't think we are supposed to repeat it today, because we need to grow up as a democracy. And the representatives of the people have confidence in us. That's why the NDC and the MPP all had their representation at the local level or the constituency level. But as it stands, the people are being denied who is to represent the people of Ablekuma North. And I don't think, Benjamin, that's the way to go. We need to do something about this.
We do need to do something about that. I'll come back to you in a bit, but on the ground, in the constituency, our very own sweetie, Ajo Abochi, is on hand, going to interact with some residents to find out how they feel about being neglected in this manner. Sweetie, if you can hear me, over to you.
Well, hello, good morning to everyone watching us right now. We're coming to you live from Kwashiman, where it's part of the Ablekuma North constituency. Now, we know as at this morning, there is no member of parliament for the constituency because of the contention, legal proceedings, and which subsequently led to the clerk of parliament declaring that no representative would be sworn in unless the EC completes or concludes on those proceedings and files a writ of the election. Now, I have here with me some residents here of the Ablekuma North constituency who want to share their thoughts on how all this is affecting them. Here is Eben. Eben, you were telling me about how we need to do something about this. But first of all, how do you feel as a resident that there's no member of parliament for this constituency?
Okay, for me, what I know here is that I'm not all that informative here. But then the little bit information that I've gotten here is that because of that, there is mismanagement in the municipality. People are not, because of the illegal system. So right now we have not been assigned to any legal system here. So people are just doing what...
When you say legal, you mean representation in parliament?
Yeah. Because they have not assigned any member of parliament here. People do what they will be expended, like what they will be okay. They don't abide by any rules, so they are mismanaging economic resources over here. Yeah, and any economy without any legal system seems to be something unrealistic, something which does not exist.
Okay, hold on for me. I'll come back to you in a second. What about you, a station master here? It means you live here, you work here, and you have no representation in parliament. How does that make you feel?
Well, when it comes to me, I don't know much about politics, but to my perspectives and what we've been seeing around in this, Ablekuma North, we are not happy with it. And how can we live in a constituency without an MP? Whilst we have a lot to do, street lights, the roads, the community are not good enough for us. And I've never experienced something like this before in my life. So it's a pleasure to have you guys here for us to be interviewed so that we can express our feelings and what's worrying us and the whole lot. So, yeah.
When I enter the constituency, I've seen about 2 different signboards. We have a Rabno Ben saying thank you. We have Nana Ama Ekuya, I think, Efri Usu also saying thank you. What are your thoughts on that? Both, parliamentary candidates are thanking you for electing them, but really, there's no member of parliament for you.
For me, we all witnessed the day. After the vote, we all witnessed that Miss Rabna Ben has won, and it's obvious that there is a little misunderstanding going on. For that, for me, it's like I said, I don't know much about politics. All we need an MP in Ablekuma North, so that he or she can provide what the youth need for us. As an Okadama like this, I work to survive. I work to feed home, and I have a lot to do. But right now, we don't have MP to at least do the street lights, do the roads, like help the youth. That's our problem right now.
What about you? There are 2 parliamentary candidates thanking the constituency for voting for them. Meanwhile, there are still legal proceedings that haven't been concluded yet. And until the EC concludes on that and verifies who's actually won, you have no member of parliament.
Yeah, you see, I'm a bit skeptical. I'm confounded. I don't know what is going on. Why 2 people can just come out and say, thank you, thank you, thank you. You have to be... we have to get an individual representative, and here's the case: the 2 of them, each and every one is telling us thank you. So we don't know what is really going on in this constituency. So we urge you to do something about it. For us to get our privilege and our happiness. Yeah.
All right, earlier I was speaking to a woman. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much. I was speaking to a woman who sells porridge just across from where we're standing. And she was saying that she doesn't really care much for this because at the end of the day, when members of parliament are even, when they have representation in parliament, it appears they're doing very little to nothing. So I want to speak to her and understand what she has to say. Auntie, good morning. Now, catch me say, "Oh, I'm fine. I'm MP, and now I'm MP because I'm more crop on your hair." Indeed, this year I'm better. What shall I do in try and walk camera? So, what's it? How to say?
Me how to say?
Hold on a second. Let me get to her so we can actually hear her loud and clear. All right. Let me just reposition. Okay, go.
How to say? Aha, question my higher way. In fear be near 20 something. MP some hanging na. Omo I'm fine my. Sometimes assemblyman no cry no more boy and kakra. Na MP ni don omo my hwe. Yen hu omo fa so bia. Say we be agata you cry na blog simple. Omo dey abesi ha ma man no da.
Well, Mibao, she's saying that she hasn't actually benefited from having representation in parliament since she's been here for a really long time. She's never seen the benefits or anything, any major thing that a member of parliament has done that has turned their lives around. So that's the question. Now, and how cross a muni MP? Would have omu cry? Ebia, mwasembia mo how na mo now at least oko parliamentar. Obet me at table before the house. No one who your mayor for home, but muni be crying when how?
Oh, media and hammy dear. I will hammy. I hammy because if I saw be a new almost so a hanum. And for so new almost something me and hammy no.
Well, there you have it. She seems to be nonchalant because she doesn't understand or she doesn't see the need for a member of parliament for the constituency. Oh, we have the station master here. He operates the Hope. What's the place of the station again?
Joy Cooperative Transport Society.
Great. Joy Cooperative Society. And we're just gauging the mood of residents in the Ablekuma North constituency. How do you feel? There's no member of parliament for you.
I can't speak English, so I can't speak Tree. Oh, I had the by-election MP because constituency MP may do a development inside the ankles because your challenge is baby, sure to your problem. And so more to a ban for friend a year or man and heading to a ban for friend. I assume you when they're match. I said, where's who we win? Yeah, to a banny when the park ride will win and in the Yaya and Carmonia by-election for Franca, for constituency and Mumbebwa.
Well, he's a quick translation. He's saying that he would prefer that they hold a by-election so they can just do the whole process, take the whole election again and then have clearer results this time around, because when two people are saying that they've won, both Irab Norbin and Nanekia Efriowusu are claiming victory, it doesn't help them. If the EC could hear you right now, what would you say to them? I know you just said that they should have a by-election, but on the current issue where we have legal proceedings going, then I offer and no. Without the by-election, processes now air course to and
Minim the entire so moko kan banana confusion about no maja ba no mo kan na say o betimi declare ban say o man better security no na so mo declare ban na man do wi ni a ye wa Ablekuma North dey any problem because obi obewi ni bia no ye hian say we MP e wa Ablekuma North ya e raba na be wi ni o ekwefre na be wi no dey hian say nya MP o constituency enti no say o man be hye no manya be bi on be kan ban na dey aka because ye ti ye nya ne say akatre 3 polling stations na there no more declare ba no eno na say see o muntimi kan ho be declare enti so man be ma say military aba ba bi on be declare ba no so yo be kan ba ne nkai na o man no empower security no mon kan ba ne nkai ho no mun declare ni hu de wa wi ni ye nya MP.
All right. So, translation, he says that recall that there was a scheduled recollation which was marred by violence between the party members, which consequently ended in court. He's saying that if the Electoral Commission could employ or get tighter security so that they can recollate the results, so that they can bring some finality to the matter, it would help. I mean, we'll still try and engage some members or some residents here in the constituency and bring you some details in the course of the day. But for now, these are the people here, and this is what they have to say. In fact, if you can, my cameraman can just show you, there's one signboard here from Irab Norbin saying, "Thank you, Ablekuma North constituency." When we were entering the constituency proper, we saw 2 signboards side by side each other, with one from Irab Norbin and one from Naneke Owusu. And so this is the situation here in Ablekuma North constituency. As of today, 30th of April 2025, there is no representation for them in the 9th Parliament. Sweetie Abochi, over to you, Ben.
And that is Sweetie Ajo Abochi from Ablekuma North, where she's actually been on the beat following the conversation right there. So that is the beat there. Let's come into the studio now and continue the conversation. And that was the very next point I was going to make. Andrew, let me just stay with you briefly. The whole bit about different candidates actually claiming they had won. Rabna Oben claiming she had won, Nanekia also claiming she had won. And how does that sit with you? And then the problems of the people on the ground in terms of governance, the fact that they lack a legislator. What is your take? What is your quick reflection on that?
I think, Benjamin, claiming ownership of something that legally you don't have is a problem. As we speak, the Electoral Commission has not declared any of these candidates as a winner of the last December election. So the question is, why do you claim ownership of something that legally has not been given to you?
Andrew,
so
they both, I mean, they have billboards up. Someone even went to church to thank God for the win and all of that. All of these, how does it, because the Electoral Commission hasn't declared a winner. It also points to how polarized it has become, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Our electoral process.
Yeah, Benjamin, yes, that's my point. That's what I'm saying. Legally, none of the candidates has been declared a winner. So what is going on there? And the confusion is created based on the inability of the Electoral Commission and the security agencies to declare a clear winner in the last elections. And I don't think that is the way to go. So quickly, we need to find solutions to all these challenges going on there. And I don't know, when we are done, whoever wins, those 2 signboards or the billboard that we have in the constituency, who is going to remove his or her, because they are all women. So who is going to remove any of the signboard from the constituency? From what I am getting from the constituency, you see, the challenges that we have with our people around or in the constituencies is that they don't value or they don't see the issues of popular participation and the decentralization in our governance system. Because we are not educating the people enough for them to know what is happening. That's why, especially the woman who is selling cocoa in the constituency, she doesn't know. And she doesn't care about who becomes the MP or something like that. And I don't think we have done a lot as a country to educate our people as to why we should get members of parliament and even MNDCs for our development purposes. And there is a gap there that we need to fill. By going forward, as I said earlier on, Benjamin, it is the duty or the responsibility of the Electoral Commission and the security agencies. So I urge the new IGP to take it upon himself, as the Ghana Bar Association has released, or the statement that I read from them yesterday, indicating that it is not good. So I've read some commentaries from certain quarters that it happened as even in your intro when I joined, as it happened to the people of SAR. And we are going to get another one. If care is not taken, after the 2028 elections, we are going to get more of these things. And I don't think the democracy that we have taken upon ourselves and where we have gotten to today, these things are necessary for our development or our decentralization or our democracy. We are practicing and we have come of age. And I don't think we should of these things. About time that the Electoral Commission, the security agencies to come together and sit down with the political parties. All these two political parties should also agree on the modalities to have some of these things resolved. Even if you get to a point that we need to take the collation center to even the headquarters police, the two political parties should agree on those modalities for it to bring finality to these issues that is happening in Ablekuma North. I don't think it's the best way to go.
All right. Hold for me, Andrew. I don't know whether we have Dr. Rashid Tanko computer as yet. But let me bring back Evans Nimako just briefly. This level of despondency as espoused by that woman who says she could care less whether or not they had an MP. That's exactly what we don't want. And again, like we said, how much of a burden would you say lies on the EC proper? How much of a burden do you feel lies on the security agencies in this process? And the whole bit about both sides claiming they have won, how does it, fight against the process? Evans, quick thoughts on that, so I bring in Dr. Tanko Computer.
Well, thank you. But I think that if you listen to the people who were engaged by Sweetie, it tells you how distant some of them are about our governance processes. For the thank you billboards, we saw your camera showing that of the NDC candidates. I mean, for the two of them who went into the elections, I have to appreciate the constituency for voting for them. That appreciation for me is better than for the supporters to engage in an unnecessary fight. Expression of
so it's okay for them to thank the people for voting them into office as what? And someone went to church to say thank God for winning the election. You think all of those are okay?
So it's better that for it to degenerate into destruction of EC property, destruction of electoral materials and all that. At the end of the day, the EC should be able to declare the winner. The EC must. The court, the High Court, on the 4th of January 2025, ruled that the EC should go and continue with the collation. It's not an issue of recollation because they have 281 polling stations. You cannot declare a candidate when you've not put together results from all the 281 polling stations. So the directives of the court are clear, and it is to the EC and the police. The problem you are having is when you are engaging the players, the NDC, NPP, and everybody is trying to push an angle and change position and all that. For us, you said that go by what the court has said. You have every right to look for your results. Declare them at all times. You said you've had 6 times and the 7th one created a confusion. So on what basis did the NDC push the returning officer to declare the NDC candidate winner? On what basis was it?
Tanko Rashid Computer will address that, but a quick point. Tanko Rashid Computer will speak to those issues. He will address that. But a quick point on the burning of the ballot papers and all of that. Who bears ultimate responsibility, do you feel, for that? Because some say that was a recipe for disaster from the start, leaving it there, which led to what you term was arson. Who bears responsibility for that? The EC?
I mean, see, we, at all times, it is for the police to provide security. I mean, civilians don't have...
The EC decided to keep the electoral material there.
Yes, I mean, all materials were kept by the EC until a certain time that it has to be discarded. So it is in the possession of the EC. What will somebody want to gain to say that at this point we must burn these materials? And I'm saying that ahead of that incident at the collation center, some people took it upon themselves to destroy pink sheets. What has the police done to them? Well,
that is a question for the police as well to answer. Moving forward, should we avoid such situations? Because this could happen again. Should we avoid such situations? If there's no resolution, what happens to the ballot papers? What do you think, with your experience and everything? What should we do on the back of this incident?
I mean, as to conclude the collation of Ablekuma North,
I am saying that if there are such future incidents, collation is not completed or there are problems, what should we do with the ballot papers? Because we left them in those schools. And mind you, the children even had exams that day. Because of whatever reason, they couldn't take their exams or they couldn't sit them. So I'm saying, what then do we do with the ballot papers? Where should the ballot papers go? Stuff like that. So that in future, we don't come back here with your experience.
Well, I mean, what I've seen in Kenya is that the results at the polling station, copies are taken electronically and sent to a database. And so whatever happens to the pin sheet in the course of the transit will not affect the results. And we should be able to look at that. And it's not right that whether I've won or not, I will decide to destroy these materials. As long as we do manual voting, we need to provide security and safekeeping of these materials until the required time when we can discard them. So yes, we can introduce the electronic bit of taking shot of them, sending them to a database, and relying on them as and when they become necessary. But at no point should anybody take it upon himself or herself that because it didn't go my way, I will destroy the evidence. It must not happen. Those people must be arrested and be made to face the law.
Right, hold for me. Let me bring in Dr. Tanko Rashid Computer, and he's a Deputy Director of Elections with the NDC, or Research, actually. I think we've lost Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer. We'll have to get him back to get his take as well on this matter. Let me come back to you, Andrew. Andrew, are you still with me?
Yes, I'm here, Benjamin.
On the back of these, you would also realize that there's a lot of pushback from the political parties. The other side is to blame. Moving forward, how do we address the issues? And maybe even to throw back that question about who bears ultimate responsibility for our choices which led to the electoral material being stashed in the school and which eventually got burnt to ashes. Who bears ultimate responsibility?
I think those properties were properties of the Electoral Commission. So in the first place, they needed to protect it. But the Electoral Commission, I don't think they have the power to protect or whatever, but it's about the security agencies. So the question is, what were our security agencies, especially the police, what were they doing when all those things were happening? Did they keep, or did the Electoral Commission also decided that, okay, these materials, we don't need them as at now, let us leave them at this way? Because what I know, or what we were told, was that it was Electoral Commission that packed those materials in that school. So what security measures did they put in place? Because when we are building a democracy as we have it now, you can't have all the people thinking in the way that you think. Definitely, we have people who will think differently. And we need to put in place measures to make sure all those people will not also go astray. So the Electoral Commission, all those materials belongs to the Electoral Commission, but the question is, how did they protect it? Did they anticipate that some people were planning to burn those materials or something like that, and they didn't take good care of it? What did our security agencies also do in preventing those issues that happened there? But the first question that you need to ask yourself is that why will even people think in that manner that we are going to burn electoral materials that belongs to the Electoral Commission after elections? Definitely, because maybe those people who did that. For me, I don't know whoever burnt those materials. But the question is, were they also anticipating that maybe they have lost the elections and they were thinking that if we're able to do this, definitely we are going to have by-elections and that will be in our favor or something like that? These are some of the questions that we need to ask ourselves. But going forward, I think as Director of Research of the MPP said, if it is possible that we can have electronic transmission of these results, as he said, as is happening in Kenya, I think it's another thing that we need to look at. Because what I know is that the law that mandates the Electoral Commission to organize these elections also give the Electoral Commission the opportunity to paste the polling station results at the polling station or the polling center where the elections took place. They need to paste the election results at that area. The question is, did they do it after the elections? Because I know they put all these figures together and gave copies to these political parties before the burning took place. And Benjamin, let me tell you this. If we want to get the right material or the figures from these polling stations, I don't think it's difficult.
Right.
All the polling stations, because when you come to my constituency, where I voted, almost all the polling stations, people were standing there and they were collating these figures. When you mention, oh, MPP had it, you have people who were writing it, NDC had it. Even the party agents at those without the polling, the papers given to them, they have them. And when you get to all these 3 polling stations that they are talking about, the remaining 3 polling stations, I can bet you people in these polling stations have these figures there that we will contact them and they can give it to you for you to finish the collation of this result, the Ablekuma North elections. So I don't see why we are fighting over just one polling station. I don't think this polling station, one given to the MPP, is going to change anything for MPP. And when you add it to the NDC figures, it's going to do anything. So why are we still unable to finish these collations and that we are where we are today? My interest is about the local people are being denied at their MP share of the common fund. First quarter is gone. So if other places, what I know is that most of the MPs use their MP share of the common fund to assist especially students, meaning people of Ablekuma North. Currently, as we speak, if an MP, the one who has been elected or the one duly elected, is willing to help students from that constituency, those students are being denied. And I don't think it's the way to go. So it is about time, as I said, the Electoral Commission, our security agency, the new IGP, together with the political parties, let us sit down and see how best we can fit 3 polling stations. I don't think this is anything difficult that we cannot do, and we are where we are today. As we'll get to a point that the Ghana Bar Association will issue a statement and capture this thing as something that is not good for our democracy.
It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, we were going to hear from the Deputy Director of Elections and IT of the NDC as well, to be fair, to have heard their side. If we get him before we wrap this conversation, fair enough. If not, then in our subsequent shows and maybe bulletins, we'll get him. But it would be a great disservice to the people of Ablekuma North if we did not remedy the situation to ensure that they got a representative. We don't want another sow on our hands, most definitely not. I'll go to Evans Nimakon as we begin to cap off the conversation, at least from your end. Evans, so what's the way forward? What processes will your party trigger or have you triggered to try and remedy this situation? What are your expectations?
Well, so I expect the new IGP to take up the issue, provide the needed security for the EEC to complete the exercise. I think that the EEC at our last IPAC meeting indicated that they were going to engage. There have been a number of engagements from the EECs and with political parties. And the assurance has been that once they get the security arrangement put in place, they will go ahead and declare the winner for the constituency. We've waited patiently, but we must have a conclusion to this whole exercise.
Okay, all right. Evans Nimaku, we're grateful for your time. Andrew, what would be your parting thoughts on this matter?
Yes, as I said, some of the cardinal principles of decentralization is participation and representation. So therefore, if people are not given the opportunity to be part of the local governance or the governance structure in their country, we are doing disservice to the people. So therefore, we need to come together and see how best we can address this issue. And I don't think it's anything difficult that we cannot address. The police, the new IGP, as I said, the two political parties, the MPP and NDC, then the Electoral Commission should come together. 3 polling stations is not anything that we should waste much of our efforts and our time on it. So we should all come together, especially the MPP and NDC, the Electoral Commission, and the new IGP, to make sure the people of Ablekuma North will also have representation in Parliament. It's not the best. As I said, if it happened yesterday and it was not good, we should not repeat the same thing today. Because if we are unable to resolve this issue and we allow it to stay, I can tell you, going into 2028 elections, some people are also going to take the law into their hands, and that we are going to experience something, if care is not taken, will be bigger than what is happening in Ablekuma North. And I don't think that is the way to go. We should be very careful as Ghanaians, as our democracy is very young, but we have come of age. If you look at Africa, even especially the sub-region, within our sub-region, the ECOWAS region, we are on top. Always people praise us about our governance system, and why we are able to collate 275 constituencies, leaving just one constituency. And I don't think that is the way to go. All of us, those of you in the media, you should, because you also have voices, as you have done this morning. And I think it got to a point that it was like we have forgotten about Ablekuma North, because most of the people have forgotten about whatever happened in Ablekuma North. And I don't think that's the way to go. The people need representation for them to be part of the democracy and decentralization as we have here. My pain is about the people currently losing their MP share of the common fund because they don't have MP, and it is not the doing of the local people, but the doing of Electoral Commission and our security agencies.
All right. Mr. Bediako, thank you for joining the conversation. We apparently have Dr. Tanko Rashid Computer, Deputy Director of Elections and IT with the NDC. We'll give him a bit of time to also elaborate on the matter. Dr. Computer, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, my brother. Let me say good morning to you and your cherished viewers.
It's good to have you join the conversation. We've practically exhausted it, but let me just regurgitate a few matters. Evans Nimaku, your counterpart on the other side, suggests that the melee that broke out in Ablekuma North, the breakages and spillages and all of that were enacted, perpetrated by your side. He suggests that the fire that destroyed the ballot papers was in fact arson, orchestrated through arson. He suggests that the only side that would have wanted to do something like that or who would benefit from this is the NDC, because according to the data that the MPP has, they won the election in Ablekuma North. What are your quick reactions to these matters?
You see, I strongly disagree with his submission on such a vile propaganda. I strongly disagree. The NDC won the election fairly. The NDC, if he has evidence of arson, why is he keeping it to himself? Why didn't he go and report to the security agencies, those involved in this kind of dastardly act? Why would he want to use a serious platform like Joy TV to propagate such wicked lies against the NDC? We disagree, and we take exception to that. Look, let me tell you.
Lest I forget. I know I could forget. So You say you won, that the NDC won the election in Ablekuma North. What proves that you won?
Yes, in fact, we were declared winners.
On the back of some agitation by your representatives, compelling the officer to do that.
Yes, on the back of what was collated at that point. You know, I see the only person who's mandated to declare...
That is not the entirety of it. When you still have 3 polling stations left, you cannot declare... I mean, the remaining 3 could effect changes, couldn't they?
But brother, we are not talking of 3. That 3 is in contention. We are not even talking of... We are talking of 62 polling stations. The problems that we have is our 62 polling stations. 3 things they are bandied around. The NDC is strongly against it. In the sense that you cannot use MPP scan copies. What they did was illegal. We don't use scan copies to declare results. We use carbon copies or original copies. The Electoral Commission is supposed to have the original copies. Political parties are to be given carbon copies. Here's the case, both of us don't have it. The Electoral Commission and the political parties don't have the 62. Then MPP would just come out and told the whole world that they have scanned copies. And you expect us to accept this? Electoral will believe we're conniving with the MPP to rig the election. When they had to want to use the MPP scan copies to collect the results, we're not going to accept it. So nobody should be telling us 3 polling stations or 3 polling. We are dealing with 62 polling stations, which we think that to resolve this matter, we must go for a rerun for these 62 polling stations. Nobody should be telling us 3 polling stations. We're not going to accept any 3 polling stations.
You're telling me that as of today, the 3 polling stations that have been in question, you have increased it to 62 polling stations. Based on what exactly? Is there not evidence for the remaining 59 in terms of how the voting went?
Yeah, that is why I'm saying that the 62 polling stations, because of the vandalism, you know, the MPP brought their tax on that day. They thought they were going to win the presidential election, and they wanted to use the same modus operandi of the 2020. And they brought their tax. That led to this vandalism where they couldn't collect the 62 polling stations.
Evans Nimarko suggests that it was your side, rather, that engaged in this destructive activity. But you are saying that is the MPP that brought thugs. So it's interesting, right? How do we bring clarity to this matter, Dr. Computer?
MPP brought the tax. Look, MPP brought the tax. MPP brought the tax. They brought their macho men, and some of them were theoretically in uniform. We identified them. This is the problem we are having with them. They did this in 2020, and got away with it.
Please.
So that is what they have been doing. They know. Evans know this is what I'm talking about.
Please. Were you at the Ablekuma North Collation Center?
No?
Dr. Computer, Evans, I think you've had a pretty fair chunk of this. Stay on the line. As and when it's possible, I'll bring you in. But Dr. Computer has just started with his submission, so maybe you should just allow him.
Yes. So
but a question that Evans just posed: Were you at the Ablekuma North, center or the polling station? Were you there?
I have all my teams. I was the operation officer on that day, so I had my teams there, and I had every report, every intelligence that went on there. I was following it keenly, and I can tell you that look, the election at that point was won by the NDC. And when the returning officer declared the NDC winners, these people had issues with it and ran under the cover of electoral commissioners, which they don't have power to do anything there. The electoral commissioners have no business in determining who should be the MP for Ablekuma North. It is the sole prerogative of the returning officer. Now, yet they went and decided to go with some blind legal matter, mandamus, and try to disturb the whole process. When we told them that we are not going to accept any scanned copies, the theoretical went behind us, and they were using the scanned copies just to declare MPP winners. That is why Ablekuma North don't have MP now. And I think we must face it.
Right. The point then would be how we maneuver this and go forward, because it appears it's a straight standoff. But let me come to Evans just briefly, very brief thoughts. Dr. Computer mentions that they are looking at 62 constituencies, not 3. How does that sit with you?
Well, thank you. I think that the point I made was that it's so bizarre that people who are at the collation center decide to destroy pink sheets. Then when the EC had gone to keep the ballot papers that contain ballot papers and other electoral materials, some people will take it upon themselves to go and burn them. And I'm saying that the police must investigate that. I'm not presenting any propaganda against anybody. I'm saying that the police should have by now arrested the perpetrators of these.
But you did mention as well that it stood to benefit from your end. I'm saying that the NDC and that you felt it was arson.
Yeah,
I asked you categorically, Evans.
I said that we know that we won the election. And he is telling us that they won the elections. Meanwhile, he's saying there are 62 polling stations that needed to be added. So on what basis? If even 3, you will not allow 3 to be left in the course of the collation. On what basis will 62 be left out? The court orders of January 4, 2025 has been clear that the EC by itself said that there were some polling stations they couldn't add their results. And so they should be provided the security needed to complete the exercise. And it's not a collation, it's collation. That's the orders of the court. The EC and the police get this done.
All right, point
the
made.
New Patriotic Party has remained very peaceful in this exercise to bring finality to it.
All right. Dr. Computer, so final thoughts on this. What is the way forward from where you sit? What do we do to bring some resolution to the matter? Ablekuma North urgently needs an MP. What do we do?
It's a straightforward thing, my brother. Let's go for a rerun for the 62 polling stations. Let's go for a rerun. It won't take us much.
What if that can't be done? Or what if the EC decides that will not be done? What steps will you take then? Will you go to court?
Then they don't want the resolution of the matter.
Will you go to court?
They don't want the resolution of the matter.
Will you go to court?
We are contending 62 polling stations.
Will you go to court?
You don't have it.
Will you go to court on that matter?
Which court? We are already in court over these issues. They went and had a plain ruling. We went to...
I thought those initial bits had been thrashed out. I am saying if the Electoral Commission determines that we are not going to do 62, we are going to work with 3, would you go back to court, so to speak?
No, we won't allow the 3 because the 62, if you take the 3 out of it, okay, you are referring to 59. Is that not it?
Right.
Those 59, where did they get it from? It's from MPP. That is their scan copies.
And you can say that for a fact that they got those 59 from the MPP, the scanned copies.
No, they brought in presiding officers. They came and told them that some of them are not their own thing. So where did they get it? It was on live camera. Your cameras captured it. When the presiding officers came and denied knowledge of those scanned copies they brought. And why is it that the returning officer midway said he was not going to continue the work again? Because they were forcing him to do an illegality, which he saw through the injustices that was going to be perpetrated against NDC. And that's why the process stalled. Why will you use our opponent's scanned copies, 59 of it, to decide a resource for us? We will not accept it. That's why we are saying that anything coming from that corner, we won't accept it because MPP is not the arbiter. They are not the conductors of the election. So they cannot determine to us that they have scanned copies.
Dr. Computer, Dr. Computer, should we maybe conduct the entire election again in Ablekuma North?
No, it's for the 62. The 62 polling stations, which are in contention. We go for a rerun. In fact, we've never done it. In fact, under Afarja, we did one at in Eastern region, one constituency like that. It was left with about 5 polling stations or so. We went and then conducted it to determine the election. It's just like the presidential one in 2000.
Dr. Computer, hold for me. Don't go. Give me 30 seconds. Dr. Computer, give me 30 seconds. Hold for me. Evans, hold for me. Don't go away, Dr. Computer. I want your follow-up on this. This is how I'm wrapping the conversation. But let me go to Evans Nimako. Don't go away, Dr. Computer. Evans, you remember I asked you the question about the scanned copies. In the past, your party has forcefully resisted using scanned copies. How come you are advocating for that now in this instance?
Under what circumstances? In which constituency are you referring to?
I can conduct a search and get this, but I have heard some of your members in past elections talk about not allowing scanned copies to be used. And that was what I put to you earlier in past examples. And you said that this instance was different. What is different in this instance?
I'm saying that the returning officer invited the presiding officers in these polling stations. Some came with their own copies. Some came with pictures of the pink sheets they took. And so that is what we did, and we are left with 3 polling stations. Tanko has not been at those collation center at the EC office when the 62 issues were being contested. So I don't know where he's getting his fact from. It's not MPP's scanned copies. And I'm saying that even those ones, the presiding officers were able to say that, yes, what they have is no different from what the MPP is bringing up. It's for parties to bring your copy. And if you don't have, the EC must have a means of bringing the results. And I'm saying that at this point, the EC says we are ready to add the 3.
So what you're saying? What you're saying is that what data you had was corroborated by the data the EC had. Did the EC have that data and it matched exactly what you had? Is that what you're saying?
That was about it. Then in all those times, the media has been there, so you can find out. And I will now not sit on this platform to concatenate. And I'm saying that I know exactly what I'm talking about. He's making reference to Akwetia 6 polling station. In those 6 polling stations, they did not vote at all on the election day. They did not vote at all. In the case of Ablekuma North, there were elections conducted in all the 281. It's 280 plus 1 special voting center, making 281. And you see, I'm saying that if you allow MPP and NDs to dictate the pace, you won't get it. The EC said we conducted the election. We have a returning officer. The court has given us orders. The police must provide security. EC must complete the exercise. When the EC went through Adome Kwabinya and said NDC has won, what did the MPP do? We should not be entertaining such comments from Dr. Computer.
Thank you for your thoughts,
The court has given orders, and we must comply.
Right, thank you. Dr. Tanko Computer, you have the final word on this. You can react and then we can go. Dr. Computer.
Saying that, you see, he's shifting goalposts. The Electoral Commission told us in the last IPAC meeting I attended with Evans and the Electoral Commission themselves. You know what they told us? They said they didn't have any single pink sheet from the 62 polling stations. We also agreed and said the same thing. You should go and check the records. It was there that you told us that you have scanned copies. And we said we won't agree any scanned copy. So where did the Electoral Commission get the pink sheets again? When they told us point blank that they don't have even one single pink sheet. You see, we know their modus operandi. We are not going to accept it. As a political party, they did this and got away with it in 2020. This time, they won't get away with it. We are going to insist that the 62 polling stations, we reconduct elections on those areas. That is the shortest way to resolve it. We're not trying to reconduct election in the 3 polling stations in Dome Kwabinya, but we proved to them, we had common copies of the results. 3, and proved to them, and gave it to them. They saw it, and they brought their presiding officers, they authenticated it, and realized, yes, what the NDC was the true reflection of what transpired.
On what basis was the candidate declared winner?
All right, gentlemen, thank you for your thoughts.
Saying that this one too, we will not agree any scanned copies, MPP scanned copies, which are forged on Electoral Commission to be used we won't accept it.
Thank you, gentlemen. This is where we cap off the conversation. We can't spend all the time on this. And those who joined us for a conversation, Andrews Bediako is a local governance expert. we had Dr. Tanko Rashid Computer, Deputy Director of Elections with the NDC, and Evans Nimako, Director of Elections and Research with the NPP. We take a breather. We'll be back on the AM show.